Morning.
Hi Mahesh, good morning. Let's wait for a few more people, okay?
Yeah, sure. Actually, still we have some time.
Yeah.
Rajesh, I'll share the screen and keep it open. Actually, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
keep
Mahesh.
the presentation open. First, you can start, and then later on, I'll pick it from you.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I hope you can see the screen, right?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So, good morning, guys. Actually, we'll wait for some more time, and then we'll start. Even we'll wait for the other participants too. Rajesh, shall we start? Actually, it's better already. We crossed 10:31, right?
Yeah, sure, Mahesh. So we will start it, okay? So hi all. Hope you all are good. So everyone able to hear us, right? Any audio or screen sharing issues?
Yeah, please confirm the voice is clearly audible as well as again the presentation is visible.
Yeah, I hope everyone is having chat access and mic access. Yeah. Yeah, it's Amit says it is clear. Okay.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation, everyone. Amit. Okay, so we are now today we are discussing about OAuth 2.0 introduction. So first of all, today we are going to complete understanding about OAuth. Okay. After that, and this session having another part. Okay, so that will be, we are planning it soon. Okay, maybe next week. In this session we are completely understand the what implementation. Okay, so coming to Ongole Meetup, so I'm the Ongole Meetup leader, Rajesh Totapalli. I have total 4 years of experience in Mulesoft. I'm working as a system engineer at the TCS. So this is my first meetup. So going forward, we will bring this meetup beyond. Okay. If anyone want to schedule meetup or anything, I'll mention my contact details in the chat. Please reach out me. Feel free to reach out. Okay, that's all about me, team. Hi, Mahesh. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. Once again, good morning to everyone. Okay. Yeah, first, let me introduce myself and then we'll go to the agenda and then we'll start the actual session. Okay. See, I'm Mahesh Reddy and I'm currently working as a integration lead at Edge Technologies. I'm almost like 8 years experienced and currently I am 2x MuleSoft certified. Even there is another integration platform called Worketo. I'm already even 3x certified in Worketo. But as a MuleSoft professional, obviously I'm always inclined towards MuleSoft itself, and mostly I worked on MuleSoft projects. And coming to my experience, like I worked on different domains like retail, healthcare, banking, financial services, even including insurance related projects as well. Okay. And coming to me, I even help people with their MuleSoft interview preparation, as well as again their career, if there are any career guidance issues for people actually uh, almost like less than 5 years experience, right? Okay, I'll be able to help them as well, exactly like based on my experience, and it may help them. I do that as well. Okay, and I'm available on LinkedIn and other platforms too. Okay, if you require any guidance or support, actually I'm readily available for that. Exactly, this is about me. And coming to the topic, we'll first set the agenda. Okay, what are we going to learn in the today's session and in the next session exactly, and what we will be covering today. Uh, then I'll start the actual part. Okay, first I'll set the agenda. What is that? We are going to learn today is what is OAuth 2.0 exactly. Like obviously, OAuth 2.0 is one of the mostly used frameworks in the IT industry for APIs, basically. Okay, especially when it comes to MuleSoft, obviously APIs, right? APIs and integrations. And in terms of APIs, for security purpose, we use OAuth 2.0. So it's very important to understand what is OAuth 2.0. And there are different terminologies involved in OAuth 2.0. So we should understand OAuth 2.0 terminologies as well. There are different terminologies. Without those terminologies, it is very difficult for us to understand the total framework. So it's very important to understand the terminologies. And there are different grant types available in OAuth 2.0, but we have taken three important grant types which is widely used and which is more popular in the industry. Okay, those three grant types use cases exactly. Like for example, like what is authorization code grant type, when we are going to opt for authorization code grant type, and even what is client credentials grant type, and when to go for client credentials, resource owner password, when to go for resource owner password. We'll pick up one use case for each grant type and see the series of steps, like what happens in the OAuth framework exactly. Okay, these are the three different grant types which are available. I'll pick up one use case for each grant type and uh, flow through the steps exactly. And then coming to what is a JWT policy and demonstration of JWT policy in MuleSoft using Auth 0. Okay, using Auth 0. It's an what the service provider exactly. It's a separate service provider. So we'll be utilizing in the demo Auth 0, and then we'll be demonstrating this particular policy. But in today's session, right, most probably I'll not be able to cover till this one, actually, JWT policy and demonstration. So we'll be discussing only most of the time. We'll cover only till this part. Okay, what is OAuth 0, terminologies, and the different grant types available and their use cases exactly. Okay, and I hope everyone is clear about the agenda, right? Now step into the actual presentation, and then we'll start the topic. Firstly, we'll understand what is OAuth, and then we'll take a generic example, and then we'll pitch into the technical example. So it will be easier for us to understand, because I kept in my mind that we are starting from basics exactly, and then we'll, for some people it may be already aware, but still I hope we'll start from basics and then we'll jump into the details. See, OAuth stands for, everyone knows it, open authorization. Okay, and it is an authorization framework, not an authentication protocol. And we'll see like what is an authorization, what is authentication, what is the difference between them. And but we should remember that OAuth 2.0 will not cover the authentication, it covers the authorization only. Please keep that in mind. In a couple of minutes we'll be discussing what is authorization, what is authentication, what is the difference, and what happens in the two steps, like in authorization what happens, in authentication what happens exactly. Okay, now let's take a simple example. Okay, we have, for example, like I wanted to plan for a vacation. Okay, I want to plan a vacation for maybe like a summer vacation, like to Mumbai, Goa, or whatever the place is, along with my family. For example, like what I will do, I'll try to book a hotel. Okay, and then I'll keep it for that particular date, and the date arrived, and I traveled to the specific destination. Obviously we reach the hotel, and once I reach the hotel, I go to the reception, right? I go to the reception, and the receptionist will ask for the what is the booking ID, and the ID details exactly, like maybe Aadhaar or passport or license, whatever the government ID proof details, or those details have to be provided. Okay, we'll understand this use case in a it's a generic use case exactly, and then we'll go to the technical example. Now, what happens? The receptionist asks for first she or he will check the booking ID. Okay, whether the booking ID provided is the right booking ID or not. Okay, the booking ID has all the details, like the booking username, and how many guests, how many rooms, all those details will be available in that particular booking details. Okay, once he or she verifies those details, and she or he asks for the user's identity proof. And for example, like I have provided my identity proof. Okay, now I entered the hotel, and I'm in the reception, and in the reception I have been asked for booking details and ID proof. Okay, now what receptionist will do? Actually, receptionist will verify the ID proof and the booking details, whether they are matching. Okay, the right person has booked the details in the booking, and the ID proof are matching or not. Once everything is proper, then she or he will allocate a room, and they will provide us the key to access that particular room. Now, in this total context, okay, there are different things which we need to understand. Okay, first of all, receptionist has taken the booking details and ID proof. If they are not matching, what he or she will do? They will not give us the access to the particular room. That is one thing. Now, what is happening there? The receptionist is trying to verify the user's identity. Okay, whose identity? Because I'm entering that particular hotel, and the receptionist is trying to verify my identity. Okay, whether the person who has done the booking and the person who is coming to the hotel are same or not exactly. Okay, both are matching, or a name matching and photo matching, everything they'll be trying to verify. Now, in this first step, what is the receptionist doing? Validating the user's identity. If they are not matching, then validating user's identity, and if everything is valid, giving the access to a specific room. For example, in our case, 405. Okay, see, once she or he validates the user identity, and
And
if everything
I'm
is proper.
sorry to interrupt you, Mahesh.
Hmm,
So are you are drawing, right? You are drawing pictures, and actually
hmm.
your screen got struck. That's why.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah,
Is it for everyone?
yeah.
Oh, it's visible for me.
Visible, but it is stuck in the understanding OAuth 2.0 page. There is no images on that. I think
Is
you
it
are
for
I think
everyone?
it should
I'm
be
waiting it. Hmm?
you
internet issue your
yeah, you
side,
are
I think.
buying, but it is not coming. I can observe that.
No, it's good for me.
It is
Ah,
visible for
it's
me.
it is good for me also.
Oh, okay.
Rajesh, I think it may be a problem from your side itself.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Let
if
me.
it's good to raise it exactly. If I think if anyone faces, anyone other people also faces, then
Yeah.
it is from my side. I don't think I'll have the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me check my connection. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, please, please. Okay. Yeah. Now, once the user is validated, we have got the specific room access exactly. Okay. Now also they are not giving the access for the entire hotel. I am able to take the key for 405 and I'll be able to access only 405 room number. I cannot access 403 or 402 or 201 or 200 other rooms exactly. Okay. So we are giving the restricted access. Call it as restricted access. This particular first step is known as authentication, and this is known as authorization. See, what is that? Validating the user identity is known as authentication, and giving the restricted access to a specific resource or specific room here is known as authorization. So, if you understand this, open this one, open authorization, OAuth 2.0 supports authorization, this particular step, not this step exactly. Okay, for this, what happens is there is another concept called OpenID Connect, OIDC. What is that? OpenID Connect, which deals with authentication, but again it uses OAuth actually as part of the total process. So whenever you see even OIDC, OpenID Connect or OAuth 0, most of the time they communicate as OAuth 2.0 itself in the regular uses. As I generally say, for example, like if you go to a photocopy shop and ask for a photocopy, you always ask for Xerox. Xerox is not a word for photocopy. It is a company name, but in the usage, what happened is most of the time you use Xerox, right? Exactly, like it's a company name. The actual word for that printout or whatever the copy you require is photocopy, but you never use that. You always use Xerox. The same way in the industry also, most of the time they try to use it as OAuth 2.0. But whenever you wanted to go for authentication, it is OpenID Connect actually. But OpenID Connect also will be utilizing the underlying OAuth framework itself exactly. Okay, with the help of that, it will be fulfilling the authentication details as well exactly. So we should understand the difference between authentication and authorization. And OIDC is nothing but OpenID Connect, which deals with the authentication. OAuth is nothing but it is an authorization framework which will help us to give the restricted access on the specific resources exactly. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, if no questions, then I'll proceed further. See, here we should understand restricted access given to a specific resource is known as authorization, and validating the user's identity is known as authentication. That's it exactly. Okay, now we'll go to the further steps and then see like series of steps. Okay, see, I have navigated to one website called Geeks for Geeks. There are so many websites, but this website will give us more options for logging in. So I have chosen this particular website. Okay, see, whenever you wanted to create an account with a different service provider, okay, maybe Swiggy, Zomato, or Geek for Geeks, or most of the platforms exactly, you'll get two options whenever you wanted to sign up for that particular platform. One is through directly providing your email, password, and maybe the phone number. You provide that, and automatically you click on that sign up. Automatically, you'll be able to sign up. This is one option. The other option is through social platforms exactly. Okay, these are known as social logins exactly. Like there are so many social login providers like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, GitHub. there are different providers based on the particular website. For example, Geek for Geeks, what they have done, they have tied up with the different platform providers like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and GitHub. So they're able to give us those services. Okay, what happens? This login management thing will not be managed by Geeks for Geeks, but they will take the help of Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and GitHub. Okay, they have their own platform to manage, or through social logins. Exactly, both available. Both options are available. Why? Because it is for the convenience. Okay, user. If user wanted to use, already has a Google account, he wanted to create an account in Geeks for Geeks using Google account, he can opt for this option. Otherwise, directly he can provide the email ID, password, and give the organization name, and he will be able to sign up. These are the two options available. Okay, if you go to another website, maybe Swiggy or I think Zomato is the right option actually, or Book My Show, wherever exactly. For example, like if I go to sign up here, see, I have sign in as Mahesh, right? Google account or the direct account. We have two. I mean to say there are two options for us to sign in. Here only direct account. They have not given the social login choice actually. Book My Show. And if you observe, even banking websites, insurance websites, those websites will not give us these kind of options, because obviously there is a more security required. They will provide only a direct option, no social login option there. Exactly. Here, if you see, there are two options: one through mobile, and the one is through Google. Again, any email or Apple account. Exactly. Okay. This way, there are different options to sign up for any of the platform. Now I'm trying to pick up one use case exactly. Okay, see, one I picked up this use case because it is very easy for us to understand. So I picked up this Zomato use case. Okay, what is this exactly? Like, I'll explain the scenario first. Now I wanted to create an account in Zomato with the help of my Facebook account. Okay, and Zomato already had a tie-up with Facebook that okay, through Facebook social login, any user can create an account and use that Zomato account. Okay, already they have registered. Okay, if they are registered, what happens when I go to the login page, like here Zomato, even Facebook option also will be available. Why I have picked, I see here there is no Facebook option, but I picked it for the convenience. Okay, please bear with me for that. Exactly, only Gmail is available, but for diagrammatic purpose and all, it will be easy for us to understand this profile details, friends list, photos, location tags, right? So I picked up the Facebook option. Okay, still it is not there in the real time. Think that, okay, along with Google, even Facebook option is also available for Zomato. That is the thing. The other option is direct option, and the second option is through social login. Here, whenever a user wanted to create an account in Zomato with the help of Facebook, not direct actually, okay, this particular series of steps will happen in the front end and back end. This series of steps will happen. There are so many steps which you can see. What is that? The first, the user. For example, like I wanted to create my Zomato account with the help of Facebook. Now what I'll do, I'll go to Zomato's website and then click on the create a profile with the help of Facebook, and immediately the request will go to Zomato's backend, and Zomato will tell, okay, this Zomato will recognize this particular user wanted to create the account with the help of what exactly? Facebook. Okay, then it will redirect the request to a Facebook username and password page. Okay, Facebook username and password page. Now I will provide my Facebook username and Facebook password and click on login. Then the request will go to, there is a server called authorization server, which will validate the username and password of that particular user. Okay, now that particular user has provided the right username and right password or not, it will be verified with the help of this authorization server, which is at the Facebook side. Okay, now I have provided username and password are correct, and immediately this authorization server will send a consent request, okay, asking for whether you are okay to provide the details for Zomato. For example, like the name, profile name, and your email ID, or maybe a photo of yours exactly. Okay, all these details will be provided to Zomato please give me the consent. Okay, then that consent page will come back, and immediately after getting that consent, what I'll be doing, I'll see that consent details. I'll say, okay, please go ahead and provide those details. That's known as authorize. Exactly. See, this is happening between the user and Facebook authorization server on the browser. Okay, on the browser, through browser it is happening actually. Now, authorization server receives the consent, and it is confirmed by the user. Authorization server can provide the details. Okay. Now, what authorization server will do? Authorization server will send a code, authorization code, to Zomato. See, now you may get a doubt like how Zomato will be received the token authorization codes, not the token authorization code, directly from Facebook. Okay, so I already told that Zomato has already registered with Facebook for providing this social login. Exactly. At that point of time itself, there will be details provided by client ID and client secret for Zomato in the registration process. With the Facebook authorization server, already Zomato has been registered. In that process itself, the one client ID and client secret will be provided to Zomato. Now, I have a question like whenever this authorization server wanted to send the authorization code to Zomato, it needs that URI, right? Okay, from authorization server, I have to send it to Zomato's URI, or it has to have some details exactly. So at that point of time, it will not have, right? So whenever I'm generating the request in the initial stages itself, they will be sending a redirect URI, which consists of whenever these all steps are proper, please send the authorization code to this particular URL. Okay, this particular URL. Now, Facebook authorization server has that redirect URI. Whenever these three steps are proper, automatically that authorization code will be sent back to Zomato with the help of this URL. Okay, to this URL. Now, Zomato has received the authorization code. Okay, it is good. Now, authorization code will not be utilized as the token to access the particular resource. Okay, till now what happened? We are trying to establish the communication between Facebook authorization server and Zomato. Okay, not the actual resource. As soon as the Zomato receives the authorization code, what happens is immediately along with the authorization code, it has already registered with Facebook, right? It has the client ID and client secret, this client ID and client secret and authorization code, and it will send the request for generating the token. Okay, this token will be generated by authorization server and it will be passed to Zomato. Again, access token. Okay, this access token has been received by Zomato. Zomato will now access the actual resource. Okay, what Zomato requires exactly, honestly speaking, it requires the profile details of this particular user. For example, who is the user? Mahesh. I am the user, and this Zomato requires the profile details of Mahesh. Now it will access the actual resource, get profiles, and along with that, it will provide the access token and it will hit the resource server. Okay, what is resource server? Wherever my APIs are configured or deployed exactly, that particular server is known as resource server. Whatever the authorization server, this authorization server is used for authorizing or generating the access tokens or validating the user's identity. All those services will be provided by authorization server. Now, the resource server has received the request for get profiles from Zomato, but it has to validate the token, right? Without validating the token, if it gives the information, it may go to the wrong person as well. So it is very, very important to validate the token. Now, resource server also will try to send a request to authorization server itself. Okay, for this particular client ID, I received this particular token. Please check whether that particular token is valid or not. Okay, authorization server already, what it will do in the back end, it will have a database where this token will be saved. Okay, for this particular client ID, this is the token which is generated, and this is the time it is uh, uh, live actually, and it will be a valid token. After that time, it will be expired. All those details will be noted, and it will be having in the database. Now, as soon as the resource server sends the token for validation, okay, now what authorization server will check? The token received from the resource server and the token in the backend will be validated, and if it is proper, then it will send a proper response saying the token is valid, you can utilize. For example, like the token is not proper, the token which is generated by authorization server in the backend, whenever it is saved, this token and the token sent by resource server is different, then what happens? Authorization server itself will reject the request saying that the token is invalid or the token is expired or whatever is the reason, because it will specify the reason and send the response to resource server. Now what happens? Resource server, based on the token response from authorization server, if it is proper, what happens? It will go ahead and process the further request, exactly like get the profile details, and then it will pass the profile details response to Zomato. If the token is invalid, immediately it will send back unauthorized request and invalid token. That kind of response will be sent back. Now we are taking the success scenario saying that the token is valid, and once the token is valid, the resource server will further process that particular request from the resource, and then it will give the details of that particular user. What details? Whatever the details I have given the consent here, for example, like profile picture, okay, and the username, email id. There are certain details which in the consent page itself we will be seeing what are the details shared as part of this consent form. Whatever the details are requested from Zomato, those details, not all the details. Like for example, like there are so many details, I will not be giving the access to all the details. Okay, so that restricted access has been given, and that profile details will be shared to Zomato. Now what Zomato will do? Zomato in the backend will use those profile details and will create the account, Zomato account, and now the user will be seeing that account. Okay, as directly it will be created in the background account will be created, and he'll be able to log into that particular Zomato. Okay, this is the whole steps which are happening in the OAuth 2.0 flow basically. Okay, in this almost like we have so many steps, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, almost 9 steps are there. Okay, in this particular flow there are 9 steps. Okay, 9 steps are happening between user, client, authorization server, and resource server. Okay, for but when we see in the front end, right? When we see in the front end, it will be very simple. As soon as you click a button, 1 or 2 buttons exactly, immediately the entire process is over. But in the front end, in the back end, these are the steps which will be happening without our knowledge exactly. Okay, every day whenever we try to log in, right? These are the multiple steps which are happening till this particular area. It happens in the front end. From here, it happens in the backend. Backend means exactly from Zomato server to resource server of Facebook exactly. Here, the browser front end means exactly it happens on the browser. If you observe, okay. Any questions here? Any questions? Till now, any questions? Rajesh, please observe the chat box also. Again, I have to go back.
Yeah, sure, Mahesh. Yeah.
I'll take a pause here. If you have any questions, we'll understand.
Yeah, hi Mahesh.
Yes, yes, please.
I have one question. That today I registered for Zomato, and tomorrow I don't want Zomato to access my friends list.
Hmm.
Then how can I do it?
No, actually, see, as part of my concern, exactly, already I have given.
Mhm.
Okay, only get profile details, even not edit or update. See, for example, like get profile details means what? In profile details also, I can edit my phone number, edit my name, edit my username. I have all the facilities, right? Whether Zomato requires all those permissions or only it has to get details of profile. For
Okay.
example, this is the profile details
Mhm.
resource.
Mhm.
I have get method,
Mhm.
post method,
Mhm.
patch, and delete.
Mhm.
In this all resources also, I will be giving access to Zomato only get.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't want that Zomato means tomorrow if I want to revoke any of these permissions,
Which permissions?
um, like friends list, I don't want to
See, I'm
disclose
not
it.
giving the friends
Okay.
list, right?
Okay,
See,
fine.
in the
Only
resources,
the profile list.
in the
Okay.
resource server, I have all the APIs, but
Mm-hmm.
I am giving only access to profile details. In profile details
Okay.
also, I'm giving to only get profile details, not even to post or patch or delete. For example, Zomato will not be able to update my phone number
Okay. Okay. Got
because
it.
they don't have the access to patch.
Okay. And if I make any changes in the Facebook profile, that updating of updating of some other details,
Hmm.
and that will be automatically fetched to Zomato or
Yeah,
one.
see, automatically what happens is there is always a time frame, right? Time
Okay.
frame actually, like immediately again it will ask for multiple. For example, like within a week,
Mm-hmm.
again it will ask for to log in. At that point of time, the latest details will be refreshed.
Okay.
Okay, it will not use the same account for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? At constant times, exactly you need to uh, refresh your login. Okay, at that point of time, the actual details will be fixed. Exactly.
Okay. So even this access token has some expiry.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, got it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important here. If you observe, I'm providing the restricted access, right? Because Zomato needs only my profile details. It should not have the access to update or delete my account. Okay, delete my profile. So I'm giving to only get. I'm giving the restricted access. Okay, now Zomato has the profile details. It will use the profile details. It will create the account, and that account will be created, and user will be seeing Zomato account has been created. Okay, here in this particular total flow, there are series of steps which happened. Okay, in this context, we'll discuss like what are the different terminologies involved in this particular flow. Okay, see here. Resource owner. What is this resource owner? The user who owns the account that is being accessed. Exactly. In this context, user is the resource owner. Why? If you observe, because on the Facebook resource server, this particular Mahesh profile has been the owner. Okay, for Mahesh profile, this particular user Mahesh is the owner, so he's called as resource owner. In this context, the user Mahesh is the resource owner in this context. Because why I'm telling in this context, in the next context or the further coming context, it may be changed. In this particular context, the user Mahesh is the resource owner of this particular profile details resource, so he's called the resource owner. And resource server, the server that hosts the protected resource. For example, like now this profile resource is there, this profile resource also should be protected, so it is hosted on a server called resource server. Okay, that's whenever you are hosting any resources, for example, like all the APIs, I kept it on a cloud platform. That cloud platform is known as the resource server. At this whatever is the actually wherever you have deployed your applications, that particular server is known as resource server. Exactly. Then the client, actually the application that is requesting access to the protected resources. For example, in this context, if you observe, Zomato is requesting the access to the profile details of Mahesh. Okay, so we call Zomato as the client in this particular scenario. Next, authorization server, the server that handles the authorization process and issues the access tokens. If you observe here, it is handling the entire authorization process. Exactly. Okay, giving the consent, authorization, sending the token, validating the token. The entire process is being handled by the authorization server. And authorization servers, there are so many in the market. Auth0, OAuth, Okta, and even AWS provides some authorization servers. Even Azure also provides authorization servers. Exactly, there are so many in the market, but the popular one is Auth0 and Okta actually. Then coming to authorization code, it is a temporary code that the client receives after the user authorizes the request. Exactly. Okay, for example, like I authorized to give the some of the details of my particular profile. Exactly. Okay, in that context, what happens? Authorization code is generating authorization code and sending it to the Zomato. It is a temporary code. It is nothing but a temporary code, alphanumeric, which consists of alphanumeric characters, for example, like characters and numbers exactly. Next, access token. What is this access token? A token, again, it is alphanumeric based exactly. It will be having some random characters exactly to make request to the resource server. See, directly authorization code is not giving the permission to access the resource exactly. Access token is generated, okay, as part of this first authorization code is generated, and then with the help of that authorization code, we are trying to generate the actual access token to access this particular profile details resource. So that is why I am calling it as authorization code grant type here. Authorization code grant type. Just give me a second. Yeah, sorry. See here. Now, if you see it, a access token is also a temporary code which will help us to actually ask the request for a particular resource exactly. Okay. And there is another concept called refresh token. This refresh token, what happens? It is a long-lived token which has more life than the access token exactly. Whenever the access token, this access token, right? What happens is it will have always a life. For example, like 1 hour, 2 hours, or 24 hours. This way, as soon as that access token expires, right? Again, there will be a refresh token which is having long life. It will fetch the access token once again. A long-lived token that can obtain a new access token when the current access token expires exactly. Refresh tokens are generally long-term access exactly. Okay, it will have long-term access. For example, like what happens is you have this particular step. I'll go back to here. Okay, now this access token expired. Okay, with the help of refresh token, Zomato can access tokens, okay, by skipping all these steps once again. Okay, with the help of only refresh token will again refreshes the access token, new token, and that token will have some life. Again, it will be accessible in that particular period. Okay. Now, scope, the specific permissions that the client is requesting to access exactly. Now, if you observe, what is this restricted access exactly? In this context, I have given a restricted access to my profile details. That is also only get. That particular term is known as scope. Okay. See, in the OAuth 2 terminology, these are the different terminologies which will be discussed, right? So we are discussing everything. Whenever we see like restricted permissions, what is the other terminology for that? Scope. Now, OAuth actors. The following agents, the resource owner, resource server, client application, authorization server, are involved in the entire process. Okay, those entire partners are known as OAuth actors exactly. Okay, and there are series of steps happening between these actors that is known as OAuth flow or OAuth dance. OAuth flow, for example, like there are so many steps which are happening, right? If you observe, first the login and user credentials, consent form, authorization code, all these steps are known as what? Authorization flow or authorization dance exactly. And the actors involved in this process is known as OAuth actors. And authentication. Authentication is the process of verifying a user's identity. Okay, for example, like I received a request, whether I'm receiving the request from the right user or not. Okay, then that is known as, if I am getting the request from the right user, then verifying that particular user's identity will give you the information I'm receiving the request from the right user exactly. Okay, authentication. Authentication is the process of verifying a user's identity. In the context of OAuth 2.0, what happens exactly? Authentication happens first and then authorization. First, we'll verify the user's identity. If he's the right user, then only I will give that restricted access to the specific thing. Okay, it means that before authorization, authentication happens. That's what I discussed here. Then authorization. Already authorization we discussed, right? Process of granting permission to perform specific actions. For example, like in this particular scenario, I gave only the get access for profile details, not even patch, delete, or something else exactly. Then grant, a method by which the client obtains the access token. For example, like in this particular first use case, what we have done with the help of authorization code, I have generated the access token, a method by which the client obtains the access token. There are so many grant types exactly, okay, in the normal process, but widely used ones are authorization code grant type, client credentials grant type, and resource owner password grant type. Apart from this, there are other grant types as well, but again, it will take a lot of time, and in the market also, these are the three ones which will be widely used, and in the three also, this is the one widely used when it comes to APIs exactly, client credentials grant type. Whenever if any one of you have already used OAuth, right, as part of our projects exactly, there you might have already seen the client credentials grant type, and we'll see that client credentials grant type series of steps, how it happens and all in a few minutes exactly. Okay, but first we discussed about authorization code grant type at this point of time. Okay, we'll see these three scenarios. Authorization code already we have covered, client credentials, and resource owner password. Okay, these are the three ones, and each grant has a different flow. Exactly. Now we have seen authorization code grant type has so many steps, right? But when it comes to this one, client credentials grant type or resource owner password grant type, the number of steps will be very less when compared to authorization code grant type, and they have their own use cases. Okay, in the first use case, what I have done, actually, whenever I wanted to create an account, okay, in a third party app with the help of my Facebook or social platforms, say Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is exactly, okay, with the help of that, then I went for authorization code grant type. That is a use case there. And redirect URL, this is the one we discussed about this authorization code, right? If you remember this authorization code, how Facebook knows, Facebook authorization server knows it, this authorization code has to be sent to Zomato, right? Okay, whenever this Zomato is raising the request itself, at that point of time itself, if the total process is proper, send the authorization code to this particular URI. That information is given in the first step itself, and authorization server has that information, and once the authorization code is generated, it knows, okay, I have to send this authorization code to this particular URI. That URI belongs to Zomato, and Zomato receives the authorization code. Then in the next step, with the help of that authorization code, it will generate the access token. Yeah, any questions so far? Actually, with this, actually, like we have finished the OAuth terminologies exactly, and even the authorization code grant type as well. If any questions, I'll take them up, and then I'll proceed further for the next use case. Rajesh, please check the chat as well.
Yes, Mahesh, I'm observing. I observed two questions so far. So, shall we discuss it now or at the end
Yeah,
of?
we'll discuss it and then we'll go, because
Yeah, okay.
this has some confusion, and it will be
Mhm.
a little.
Okay.
Once this
So,
is clear, right, the next steps
mhm.
will be very easier.
Okay. So the thing is, questions. It is not about the chat. I have formed two questions that should most probably everyone should have. Okay.
Okay.
So the details, whatever the Facebook or Google, we are whatever we are signing up, right? Facebook, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the details that Facebook is going to share with Zomato, that will be provided in the confirmation form, right? Before giving access to Zomato,
What details it
like
is going to
name,
share? It is going
like
to share.
complete name or phone number details, whatever what kind of details it is going to give. It is
Hmm.
giving any confirmation before we need to give some access, right, to the confirmation to the Facebook.
And that's what concept. This is, it is giving you a page
Mhm.
exactly. For example, because I am already logged into all the platforms, so I'm able to not able to show that whatever the platforms I'm seeing. For example, now I'll use Okay, Zomato itself.
Or
Sign
else
up.
I'll share my screen and I'll try that if you want.
Yeah, please do that. That will be okay. Yeah, please share your screen.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Give me a minute. You can stop your screen so that I'll share mine.
1 second.
Okay, I'm sharing.
Yeah, click on this. Go to sign up.
Now it is
Now,
asking
yeah,
Google.
sign in with Google. See, now you can see it is asking for your username and password, right?
Yep.
Actually, already you have logged into. Otherwise, go to incognito window.
Okay.
Close here and go to incognito window, because there your credentials, nothing will be sign details available. It will ask for very clear. Zomato. Sign up there. Okay, sign in with Google. See, it
Okay.
is
So
asking for your username first. Actually,
okay.
sign in
So
to continue to Zomato. Okay, first you give your one of your email ID which is not registered with Zomato.
mhm.
Next, now it will be asking for your password.
I'm not sure whether it is correct or not.
That will be the problem generally.
Okay. So the correct
See,
password. So
now
it is.
see the consent form here. By continuing, Google will share your name, email address, language preference, and profile picture with Zomato. It's very
Okay.
clear. If you don't want, cancel it. If you want, continue. If
Okay.
you're okay to provide these details, it will provide only these details. It will not go give you more than that.
Okay. So they are mentioned very clearly.
Very
Email
clearly.
address and language preference and profile picture.
Hmm.
Okay. So if I'm continuing
And
with this,
and
it
it
is
is
there
clearly
only.
saying, see Zomato's privacy policy also, whether they use this information for what purpose and all.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
This is
then
consent.
continue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Now
And
wait. Now
okay.
click on that Rajesh actually. See, it used click on that profile. See, it got the name actually. Okay, it got the
Hmm.
profile picture. All
Hmm.
those details from that only.
Okay.
And it created the account automatically. See, but all the steps happened. Almost there are 9 to 10 steps, but only some steps are visible in the front end. Rest other steps
Yeah. Background.
happening in the back end. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the doubt one. So another doubt, most probably everyone have.
Hmm.
So what if I don't want to disclose this information like my profile picture or name in future?
You have the direct option, right? You have the
Yeah.
direct option.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know that, but I want to make it clear for everyone. So we
Okay.
have one option, manage account in Facebook or Google.
Hmm.
So we just go to there and we need to cancel that permission.
No, that is after doing it, right? See.
No, I'm telling in future. For example,
Okay,
now
in
I
future.
disclose
Okay.
my
Okay.
details
Yeah.
today. So,
That's
and
fine.
after 1 month, I don't want to disclose my details like name or profile picture. Those are confident. Those are I feel that is
Yes.
privacy issue. So
Hmm.
I just want to now Zomato. I understand. For if we give any other websites, right? So if we don't want to disclose that information in any
Yes.
point of time, we can.
Always you have that. Obviously, we can
Hmm.
delete that details exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and you
that
need to
is
go
the.
to your Google account, and
Hmm.
obviously, if you don't want, if you feel anything suspicious there, if you wanted to delete that confirmation, you can go to, I think, Google account, right? Go to that
Yeah.
security and third party applications, etc.
Yeah, so it will gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we I want to clear my so
Okay.
that
Okay. Yeah.
everyone will be aware about this.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it. Anyone having any questions expect except that? I I hope no one have the question.
Okay. Okay.
You are
Then
very
we
good.
I'll take out the screen actually.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, once we are clear with this flow, right? Authorization code grant flow, I'll go with client credentials grant. Okay. Now, Mahesh has already created account in Zomato and he wanted to order the food. Okay. Now, the next sequence is he wants to order the food. Okay. I wanted to order pizza, for example. Already, if you observe, Zomato has tied up with Domino's already, or Pizza Hut, whatever it is exactly. But I picked up Domino's at this in this particular example. The Zomato has already tied up with Domino's. Okay, Zomato has tied up with Domino's for accessing the details of Domino's related menu, all those things exactly. Now, for that purpose, already Zomato has registered with Domino's, right? They'll be having a client ID and client secret as well. Okay. Already Zomato has tied up with Domino's, and as part of that registration process, client ID and client secret will be available, and Zomato will be able to access the resource details of Domino's. Now, Mahesh wanted to order a pizza, and Zomato, what it will try to do? It will try to send the request first for token, okay, along with the client ID and client secret. It is already registered, right? So it is happening from Zomato's server to Domino's authorization server. Exactly. Okay. There is no front end involved here. Once I requested for this order pizza in the mobile application of Zomato, the Zomato server received the request and it is trying to communicate with the Domino's server. Now, Zomato server sent the request for accessing the token first. Okay. Once it received the access token, Zomato will receive the token. Now, with the help of this particular token, what it will try to do? It will try to go and get the pizza types available in the resource server of Domino's. Now, those pizza types will be given to Zomato, but before that, it has to access the validate the token, right? This resource server, Domino's resource server, will send a request to authorization server to verify the token, and the token is verified, it is proper. Then it will fetch all the pizza types available for that particular request, and then it will send the pizza types, and he will be able to see the details exactly. Now, if you observe here, there are so many steps not visible. Okay, in this particular context, what is happening? There is a request processing required between Zomato's server and the Domino's server. Okay, not we don't require any information from the user. Okay, for the entire process. Okay, so in this context, exactly, we are going to use client credentials grant type, and client credentials grant type is used to generate the token here. So this is known as client credentials grant type, and the series of steps involved in this particular, again, OAuth flow is different. If you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 steps. Only 5 steps are there. In the previous authorization code grant type, it is very different. Okay, because that use case is different. What is that use case? I wanted to create an account there with the help of Facebook account. I want to create an account in Zomato. That is the use case. So I opt for authorization code grant type. But here the use case is I wanted to fetch the pizza types actually for Zomato from Domino's for Mahesh. For example, like another user came in, maybe Ramesh or Rajesh, whoever it is exactly. Now the process is same only. Okay, that same client ID, client secret will generate the token, and then it will fetch the details. Because for Mahesh, for Rajesh, or for Ramesh, whoever it is exactly the user is, the pizza types are same. Actually, there is no difference. Okay. So in this context exactly, I'll be using client credentials grant type, and that client credentials grant type is used mostly whenever there is a server to server communication. Okay, server to server. If you see here, Zomato server to Domino's server. This is Domino's authorization server. This is Domino's resource server. Okay, in this context exactly, we'll be going for client credentials grant type, and the number of steps involved in this process is comparatively less when compared to the authorization code grant type. Exactly. So it's very important to understand in what context or in what use case we have to use which grant type exactly. Okay, mostly when it comes to our APIs, right, this is the grant type which is widely used. I don't mean that other grant types will not be utilized, but mostly you'll be observing client credentials grant type. Why? Because maybe always the communication is between front end and back end. Okay, and we have a here. Okay, we are receiving the request from front end, and we get the details from backend, and API acts as a mediator between this front end and backend. And you receive the request here. Okay, and see, from front end means what happens? Front end application to web server. Okay, from web server again your request goes to API, and API will communicate to backend, and it will receive the response, and then it will be sent. The web server will receive the response from API, and this web server will send the response to the front end exactly. So if you see from web server to or web server to resource server, API is on the resource server, right? The communication, server to server communication is happening. Okay, in this context, most of the time we'll be going for client credentials granted. But in the first use case, if you observe, what is happening? User is there. The communication is happening between user, authorization server, again client and authorization server. Client means like again Zomato's web server and authorization server. There is a communication flow difference exactly. So in this use case, there is a communication happening between different agents, but here the communication is happening between different agents. So it's very, very important to understand that in this context, we'll be going for client credentials grant type. Okay, the same process, but with a reduced flow, basically reduced number of steps exactly. But when we go for this, whenever there is a server to server communication, and in that kind of context, we will be going for client credentials grant type. Yeah. Any questions on client credentials grant type? Oh, okay, if no, I'll be proceeding with the resource owner password grant type. Okay, I'll take another, I think it's already 11:29. I'll take another 10 minutes and then I'll finish it off. I'll not take much more than that, actually. Most probably another 10 minutes. See, next, resource owner password grant type. What is this resource owner password grant type? We'll see that. Okay, now already the user is using Zomato platform for a few months exactly. Okay, now he wanted to get some order details exactly. He ordered some 5 to 6 orders, and out of 5 to 6 orders, he wanted to fetch one order details. Okay, now what happens? You'll try to click on that order and the application, and that order should be fetched from the backend. Okay, now Zomato is the front end at this point of time, and Zomato's backend is also there. And in the Zomato's backend, obviously, in the maybe in a database, the order details will be saved, right? It should be fetched from there. Obviously, there will be an API. Now, API is protected with OAuth exactly. Now, what happens? Zomato will send a request to authorization server. While sending the request, along with the token endpoint, it will send the client credentials, client ID and client secret. In all the steps, client ID and client secret is required exactly. And along with that, it has to send the username and password as well. Why username and password? Because see, user Mahesh ordered some orders. For example, order 1, order 102, order 103, order 104, order 105. This is related to specifically to Mahesh. Okay, he is owning these orders exactly. Okay, now I wanted to fetch the order details of 103. Order details of 103, and it should belong to Mahesh. Okay, now how does the backend knows exactly Mahesh is requesting for the details exactly? So along with client credentials, it has to send the username and password. And what happens? This authorization server will validate whether right user has come. Okay, username, password, and along with that client credentials and all. Okay, then it will send the access token. Now with the help of this access token, what Zomato will do? Zomato will try to access the front end. Zomato front end server will try to access the orders resource and get orders exactly. And now it will try to validate the token, the same step. Okay, once the token is successful, it will try to give the order details, and those order details will be sent to Zomato server, and it will be displayed in the front end app. Okay, for example, like I ordered maybe 3 to 4 different items in that particular order. All those order items and the prices and the total bill, all those details will be available in that particular order exactly. All those details will be fetched from the backend. Okay, here if you observe, you're trying to provide the resource. See, who is the resource owner here? User, because this user Mahesh is owning the orders on the resource server, and he is trying to access his order details. So in that context exactly, if the resource server wanted to know, or the authorization server wanted to know, I'm trying to give the order details of Mahesh only. Okay, so we need to pass the username and password of Mahesh as well exactly. So it is very, very important to pass those details as well, and along with the client credentials exactly. Okay, in this particular context, you are trying to generate the access token with the help of resource owner password. Okay, so it is known as resource owner password grant type exactly. Okay, yeah, any questions in this particular context? Fine, no questions. Then I'll summarize the entire thing exactly. Okay, when to go for authorization code grant type, and when to go for client credentials, when to go for resource owner, for example. Okay.
Mahesh, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
There is a question in the chat.
Yeah, please.
Edward is asking, so in this scenario, Mahesh username and password travel through Zomato.
Yes.
Okay. I hope Edward it clears.
Okay. Any other question? Come again. Any other questions actually?
No more questions in chat.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, now see, we'll summarize which grant type should be used in what context exactly. See, authorization code grant type, whenever access token is generated using authorization code, then it is known as authorization code grant type. Okay, and see here in this authorization code grant type, when do we go for this? Sign up using third-party apps. For example, like I want to sign up in Zomato with the help of Facebook third-party app or Google third-party app. Okay, in this kind of context, this particular authorization code grant type will be the one which will be utilized exactly. Okay, and ownership of resource data lies with the user. For example, I'm trying to use my Facebook account and I'm trying to create a account in Zomato. This is Zomato, this is Facebook, and this is the user. This particular user is the owner of this Mahesh profile. Okay, that's what I mean to say here. Ownership of resource data, this Mahesh data, lies with the user. Okay, so I'm trying to create an account. In this context, I'll be going for authorization code grant type. Okay, client credentials grant type. Access token is generated using the client credentials. In the second context, if you observe, the Zomato's front-end server, that is web server, and Domino's backend server, the communication is happening between those two applications exactly, two servers. In that context exactly, we are using client credentials grant type, server to server communication, and no ownership of resources. For example, like Mahesh is trying to access pizza types of Domino's. It is same. Now Rajesh came into picture. He wanted to access. It is same only. It means that the resource details, it means that the pizza types information is not owned by this user. It is common to everyone. In that kind of context, we can go for client credentials grant type. No ownership of resources. The data is common to everyone. And access token is generated using client credentials, if you observe. And access token lifetime will be, it will be maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, or 30 minutes, whatever it is exactly, like dependent on the authorization server configurations. Next, resource owner password grant type. The access token is generated using the client credentials plus resource owner credentials. Okay, so in that context exactly, we are passing the client credentials as well as the password. For example, like if we are not passing, what happens? For which account I need to fetch the order details, that will not be clarified, right? So it is very, very important to pass the other credentials as well. Next, ownership of resources lies with the user. For example, in this particular context, if you observe, the order is owned by whom? This Mahesh only. This 103 order is owned by Mahesh only. That is what I am trying to discuss here. Okay, ownership of resource lies with the user. To get data on the specific user from the client app server. Okay, if you observe here, this is Zomato's front end. Okay, and this is Zomato's backend API layer exactly. Okay, API layer. Again, we'll have another backend layer, that is maybe database or different resources or different servers actually, which is part of the total ecosystem. That is again a different ball game. This is the API layer, and this API layer will be communicating to the front end server layer exactly. Okay, these two are communicating. Sorry, not this one, right? This one. No, this one, right? This, yeah, front end layer is communicating to the back end layer here. Okay, that API layer here, and again you will have back end layer. In that context exactly, we are trying to use the resource owner password grant type as well. For we want the details of a specific owner exactly, so we are trying to pass the username and password as well, and the order is owned by the resource itself. And to get data of the specific user from the client app server, in that context also we can go for resource owner password. These are the three widely used grant types, and this is the one mostly used when it comes to our implementation. Okay, yeah, these are the things exactly. Before going to the questions part exactly, like I just wanted to tell you, now we have to know or understand the JWT policy. Okay, and we have to demonstrate using Mulesoft platform with the help of Auth0. That will be covered in the next session. Most probably it will be in the next weekend exactly. That details will be notified to you. Okay, first we'll, in the next session, what we'll try to do, we'll try to understand the JWT policy. Theoretically, we'll see the details required for the JWT policy, and then we'll see the demonstration of the entire thing. Within that 1 hour, we'll be able to cover the entire information. Yeah, now I'll be able to take up the questions if any of the people have. Yeah, I'll stop sharing as well, and I'll check the chat box as well.
Yeah, Mahesh, actually, this is Rajesh here. Can I have you? I have two questions actually.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing is on the, like, for example, when you are accessing the token, right? Like you will be passing the username, password, and grant type, right? So can that be misused by somebody to generate the access token to reach any third party?
In what context you're telling exactly? Like in what?
Just to, like, for example, if somebody want to access any other website, right? Just let's say if any hacker is trying to do something. Okay, so in that case, can this be used by any third party? Let's say, for example, you have taken Zomato. Okay, in future, so Zomato, similarly like Zomato, there will be some other application. Okay, they will also try to access the Google account. Let's say we are officially using for our company as this Google account to store some of the files in drives.
Okay.
Drive for any other details. Just like, for example, nowadays the personal information like username, password, and date of birth is enough, right? Okay, this kind of situations can be.
No, actually, see here. If you observe, OAuth came into picture before OAuth. Actually, what is happening is Facebook used to give the entire username and password to Zomato. In that context, there is a chance of misusing. Zomato can misuse, and they may change my phone number, they may delete my account, whatever they want, they can do it. But OAuth is taking that particular part, and it is not giving username and password to Zomato. That will be handled by Facebook itself. It will give you the restricted access. Exactly. The entire part is happening on only Facebook authorization server. It is not giving any username or password details to Zomato. Without that, it is giving the restricted access here. That's what the beauty is. It means that Zomato cannot misuse my Facebook account and do something. Only details which has been accessed by Zomato is my username, my profile, my email ID. With that, if they can do something, again, with that, he cannot do anything, right? He doesn't have the password and the other details. Okay, see.
I mean, photos and then the locations, for example, let's say if they want to change the photos, those kind of things can be done. That's what you mean?
No,
Means
no, no,
profile
no,
details are
no.
there, na?
See, I told you only get details here. I don't see if you wanted to change the photo, you want patch, right? Update the profile details. That access is not given to Zomato. Only get details.
Okay. They can see only, right? They
See, they
can't
can
modify
get the
anything.
profile details. They cannot create a profile. They cannot update the profile. They cannot delete the profile. I am giving them the restricted access with the OAuth process. I'm not giving the username and password also. My Facebook username and password also will not be with Zomato. If I'm giving that, there is no point in using OAuth process. Without giving my username and password, I'm giving the restricted access to profile details.
Yeah.
Got it, right? Yeah.
Got it.
The next question.
Yeah, the next question is, for example, in the Postman, we can also configure the OAuth 2, right? So there is a OAuth in the under the authorization, there is a OAuth 2, credentials we can supply directly there.
Yes.
Correct. I think you already have the Postman. So if you like, I'm not sure like whether that is configured in your system. Here there is authorization.
Yes. Yeah,
Similarly, like
I'm
header.
sharing it.
Okay. Yeah. So there is a refresh token, so recently I observed a case. For example, I already generated in the Postman I'm talking about. Okay, I generated a token and then later they removed my access
Okay.
exactly to my username and password.
Okay.
But that refresh token is working. Actually, if I just refresh the token in the Postman, and then if I try to get the token, it is giving me the access token. But similarly, if I try to do that in the code in the Mulesoft, especially, okay, so that was not working because my username and password got the access got removed there.
Okay.
So what is this difference between using the username, password, and grant type to call it and refreshing the token to get the token in the Postman?
Yeah, obviously, see, normally if you observe that should not ideally happen. Okay. See, because if you remove the access for that particular client itself, it should not happen, right? Honestly speaking. But if you observe now, for example, in the one of the context, I'll take easy in this context. For example, I generated the access token, right? Okay. And
Correct.
along with that, refresh token is also generated and kept with Zomato. Okay. Now, refresh token life is 10 days. Okay. For every 10 days, okay, within 10 days, and the access token life is 1 hour. Now, for every 1 hour, access token expires. Now, this refresh token, what it will try to do? It will try to, Zomato is trying to use that refresh token and get a new access token every 1 hour. Exactly. But after 10 days, what happens? Even the refresh token also will get expired, right?
Correct.
Even refresh token also has a life. Okay. But what might have happened is they removed the access for this particular client ID and client secret, but this refresh token is working. Maybe they have to do some configurations which will take the access for that particular refresh token as well. Okay, they might have forgotten that. Ideally, as soon as they remove this, it has to automatically happen that for refresh token as well, it should not generate the token. Again, in the Mulesoft platform also, if you use this refresh token method, I think you'll be able to generate the token.
Okay, so yeah, that one actually, for example, I passed only username and password and then grant type.
That's what exactly. You're not using the refresh token there, okay, ideally. So that is not generating the token. Okay, but again, if you use this, we have in our studio also in HTTP request, we have another module called OAuth module in the Mule palette. If you add that, what happens is you can generate the normally we store it in object store and all process, right? Normally we do that generally in the object store. We'll store the token and we access the token for 1 hour. Whenever it expires, again regenerate it and store it in object store. We do that way generally. Okay, we don't use that refresh token method as well. But there is a OAuth module called in available in Mule palette. If you add that in the HTTP request itself, the total storing mechanism, refreshing mechanism, the expiry mechanism will be handled very efficiently. Okay, there if you mention the details for the refresh token as well, automatically that refresh token will fetch the details as well. Okay, if you do that automatically, again in the Mulesoft platform also, you'll be able to token. You'll be able to get the token, but that is not the right way. I think there is some glitch or something which has not been done from the authorization server part. Exactly.
Okay, okay. So for that, do we need to pass a different authorization or a grant type? Is it like for example, if I want to use not the access token, if I want to use a refresh token, so is there a different grant types and all we need to pass?
Nothing. The same grant type itself. See, it is eliminating the other steps. That's it. Again, see, for example, like here, access token, along with the access token, I received refresh token as well. This is for 1 hour, right? After 1 hour, I need to generate the token once again automatically. Now this refresh token, I will eliminate this step as well. Only this step will be happening. This refresh token will generate the token and get it.
No,
One
in
step.
that case, there is advantage. For example, now if we think that way, right? So because it is available for 10 days, refresh token.
Okay.
Okay, so that will give advantage to non authorization server every time, right? If we go through the
Yes,
means it will be
obviously,
available
right.
for so many
See,
days.
always there is a problem with the convenience. If convenience is given, obviously there is a problem. Exactly. Okay. But you have to be more careful while configuring those kind of things. Exactly. That's
Okay.
what. See, whenever you want some comfort, there is always a dark side of it as well, right?
Okay, okay. So
Okay.
means so if you give that token available for 10 days, it is not good to give
Yeah,
that
you
those
you
10 days.
whenever you wanted to take access before that, you have to
Mhm.
configure in such a way that as soon as I remove the client ID and client secret, even that particular refresh token thing also should not revoke the access for that particular client ID and client secret. Maybe there is a setting at refresh token part that is also should be removed. That is the job of this authorization server person who is handling this.
Okay, okay.
This is not our job exactly.
Correct. Yeah, because the where I got confused is I was not able to generate the access token, but I simply, in the Postman, I simply clicked on refresh token and I sent a request. It generated me token.
Yeah, that's a, see, obviously that's not the way it should work. Okay, that should be taken part in the authorization server level itself. Maybe they might have I think forgot to disable some setting or whatever it is exactly. Yeah. Any
Okay,
other question?
okay. Yeah, that's it to me. That's it. Thanks, sir.
From others exactly. Okay, if no questions, then we'll wind up the session. And thanks for attending. Thanks for taking your time on a.
Yeah, Mahesh, this record available is it in the same meetups? Is it
Yes,
like
yes,
where
yeah,
can we take?
yeah, it will be available, but it may take some time to do that.
Yeah, Rakesh, we will upload it, okay, as soon as possible in that portal.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Rajesh, any questions in the chat box? Otherwise, even I can
Yeah,
see.
so far we are good, Mahesh. No questions.
Okay.
You answered most probably all the questions. And if anyone having any questions, feel free to ask us. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And next week, most probably on Saturday, we'll be having session. But anyway, you'll be notified about the details. Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
It was a wonderful session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all for joining. So we will schedule another session for this part in upcoming weekend. So I mentioned my details. If anyone want to host any meeting, please reach me in LinkedIn or contact me through email. Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.